So as you can see, as time goes on, Rome is going to be split in two parts. All right, we'll have the western half and the eastern half of the empire. And not only that, they're divided up into different dioceses. So we're seeing the influence of, well, the idea of the church within here. What we also see on the outer fringes, Sassanid Empire, the Goths, the Saxons, we're seeing the names of various what would be called barbarian groups that are going to assert control over the empire. Now, the idea of a split within Rome begins to emerge in the year 330. I mean, Rome had been weakening for some time, and it didn't help when Constantine the Great officially moved the capital city of the empire to a city that was called Byzantium. Eventually, it was known as Constantinople, city of Constantine. The Latin name for it was New Rome. And even though this new capital, this new capital only had 50,000 residents compared to 1 million in Rome, the empire had grown to a point where it simply made sense to move it to a place that could be more easily defended. We refer to these individuals today as the Byzantines, and we'll see more on them in our final lecture for the unit. But Constantinople will grow incredibly wealthy, mainly because the city of Constantinople, which is now Istanbul, has the distinction of being the only city on planet Earth that is on two continents. The western half is in Europe. The eastern half is in Asia. So there's a lot of exchange of ideas and culture here. And it helps that they're located on what's called the Silk Roads, an overland trading network connecting east and west. And these individuals will eventually carry on the tradition of Rome. Now, after the death of Constantine, there's going to be no emperor that completely unites the empire. So it's formally split into two parts. We have the eastern half, we have the western half. And interestingly enough, by this time, the western half, what we still consider to be Rome, was actually run from the city of Ravenna. It wasn't even administered in Rome itself, so the city begins its decline. Invasions by neighboring peoples is often cited as the central reason for the decline of the Western Roman Empire. So those Goths, those Saxons that we saw, they're the ones that will lead to its decline. Recent evidence suggests that these so-called barbarians were actually living side by side with the Romans for years, so they adopted Roman customs. The leaders belonged to whatever name the group was given, but the followers actually came from multiple ethnic groups, so that kind of leads to some confusion. In the 400s, Rome was threatened numerous times and completely sacked at least twice. In the year 410, the city was sacked by a group called the Visigoths, who were bribed to leave with the promise of gold and silver. And in 455, the Vandals, these people were actually called the Vandals. The Vandals sacked the city from their base in Carthage. They were based out of the North African city of Carthage, so in a way, Carthage gets the last laugh on Rome. It was written that their destruction was so rampant and so heinous that to this day, destruction of property is referred to as vandalism because of the Vandals. Now, even though the Huns didn't actually destroy Rome, their main leader, Attila the Hun, is most remembered for the fearsome way with which he and his forces conquered. They came from the steppes of Central Asia, which is the same location that a group of people known as the Mongols will come from a little bit later on through the trimester. We'll learn about the Mongols with East Asia. They were so fearsome that the Goths stood on the eastern side of the Rhine River, which is the northern border, kind of the northeast border of the empire. One barbarian group, the Goths, were on the eastern border of the Rhine, begging to be let in so they could escape the fury of the Huns. That's how, that's the reputation that these people had. Now, if you ask traditional historians, they'll tell you 476. 476 is when the final emperor in the West was deposed. And this is commonly referred to as when Rome fell. Really, by all accounts, Rome was, until it wasn't. Everyday people were going on, trying to live their daily lives. And then all of a sudden, just like that, it was gone. It was done. The emperor had fallen. About 1,000 years we're talking about. If you consider, 753 is when Rome was, quote unquote, founded. In the 500s, that's when the Republic begins. 476, they fall. We're talking 1,000 years. And it's very interesting to note that the image here is of Attila the Hun, not necessarily of an emperor himself. So what happened? It's like with any empire or kingdom that falls. There's a host of issues. But we can simplify it to a few things. All right, when we look at the economic and military side of things, the western half of the empire is in serious decline in the 400s, economically speaking. Their model is built on expansion through conquest. So they'd conquer someone and claim the spoils of war, be it gold, silver, or additional resources. Without a sizable army to pursue these conquests, new revenues are going to dry up. So the Romans began to mint coins that were worth less than their face value, and fewer of them are going to be in use. A return to the barter system is going to occur. The actual barter system, where you trade physical items rather than purchasing with currency, will occur in Western regions. And additionally, coins used to be how the Romans paid their taxes, but with fewer of them available, many begin to pay in grain. This makes it difficult to pay the soldiers. So the complex network of roads linking the empire begins to unravel. If safe passage and travel cannot be guaranteed, trade and communication will be difficult. So the Western decline will begin. The change was worst in England, where it was stated that after the year 400, there were no towns, no villas, no coins. And the image you see is the remains of what was Hadrian's Wall. It really formed the northern border. It was this symbol of, on the north side of the wall are the Picts or the barbarians. On the south side is Rome, its civilization. It was a physical reminder of that contrast. When the soldiers pull out, the wall is abandoned, that facade will fade away. Now, each region of the empire produced something specific and was not independently diversified. Trade had allowed for the empire as a whole to be linked. Now, once each region was conquered by barbarians, this fragile system is exposed. But it also helped the East to prosper since they didn't have Rome or the western part dragging them down anymore. Now, politically speaking, centuries of corruption caught up with them. Now, beginning with the leader Sulla that we learned about with so-called Republican reforms, the military was loyal to generals and then to dictators, not the Senate itself. The leaders that eventually emerged were less than stellar, so assassination was very common. And unfortunately, that Praetorian Guard that was formed under Augustus could easily be bribed to kill off the current emperor and install a new one. With all of this, at least in Western Europe, Rome falls, the decline begins, and it's going to take centuries for Western Europe to try and deal with the fallout of this once mighty, powerful empire.